I'm just wondering what you say to the guys after this when obviously you're living day by day when you're in the postseason, but for the season to come to an end, some tough starts to both halves, up and down year. What's the final message to this group of guys as you look ahead now to the offseason?
Well, I think that there's some going to be some constant themes just in terms of, as I told him, I said, look, I don't care if we're playing in the NIT, the NCAA tournament, the Big Ten or preseason game. You get off to those types of starts, it's hard to play catch up at this level, and Florida's guards did a great job controlling the tempo. They knew when to go, when not to go, and that was very challenging for us. So. There's been constant lessons. I think today was probably it was really magnified of not having Jay Sean and Kate out there. Not making excuse. We played with what we had, but a couple veteran guys out there, I think could obviously that helps your team.
With Keita, I know you said on Friday you weren't sure how he would be, but what is his status? How has he been?
Yeah, he got diagnosed with mono, so he would have been done regardless. We found out yesterday, I think, that he did have mono, and that's what it looks like he looked when he was in high school right now with all the weight he's lost. But so yeah, I mean, he wasn't going to go on with this anyway.
It's hard to immediately flip the switch and think ahead to what's next. I just wonder if as you look on what you've accomplished this season, what this team was, did you guys hit the potential that you thought? You talked in the early season it was going to be tough, and you're obviously young. Did this team play to the potential that you thought it had when you started?
Well, I think the fact, I don't know what we won, with the exception of Michigan State and now Florida, we'd won all the games out of the last 10 or 11, whatever it was. I don't know if I can completely answer because we didn't finish the season with everybody that we, and you take those two guys out. I think there was some strides made. I'd be the first to say, hey, we knew this was going to be a challenging season. There was no question about that. I think our guys hopefully have a sense of what college basketball is about now. You can't just show up and play. I'm going to get my game on and stuff like that. It doesn't work in college basketball. There's an element of needing each other. There's an element of coachability, those types of things. And the hardest part is just the inconsistency that we had. Is that youth? I don't know, but we got to get that corrected. That's the biggest challenge I'm after is just a consistent level of play of we know what we're getting every single night.
You made some runs, but couldn't quite ever get over the hump. Does it all go back to the start of the game though, and the start of the second half?
The start of the second half was really brutal because of the standpoint of the turnovers led to easy baskets for them, and we got ourselves in that hole. I thought we did a great job after really the first 4 minutes of the start of the game where I took the timeout. But with that said, I think we're down one at halftime, and we're in pretty good shape. And it just I think Trevor had a great look to start, doesn't go in, and then from there it sort of snowballed for us.
None of your guys are what you'd consider a finished product, like a D'Angelo Russell or a Michael Conley or whoever. They're not. Doesn't seem like anybody's on their way to the NBA or professional level. If you could just take a second and think for each guy, if there's one thing that you want them, I assume overall improve strength and work on skill, but what is maybe one thing for each of the guys that you want to see them come back better at in October?
You want to go through each of them? Or?
As many as you want.
No, I think that one of the biggest things is, and we talk about this. This should serve as a humbling experience. And, how we define humility is knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. And, I think all of us have to look and say, okay, what have I got to get better at? Am I committed to getting better at those things? Just because I go from a freshman to a sophomore, yeah, you're going to be a better player, but are you going to be as good as you can possibly be? I think that's the big challenge in terms of what I'm after. I've seen great growth in a lot of these guys. It's just too many times we sort of revert back and don't have that level of consistency. I think that there's an element of life of when you put so much into something that you refuse to give up as easily. And now that this team has been through and should have these guys back, I think that makes for hopefully a great off season for us.
You've been here 12 years now. You've had ups and downs all season long. Is this your most difficult season?
No.
Why would you say that?
Just because of the youth. I think that I would be lying to you if I thought this was going to be an easy year. We knew there were going to be ups and downs to the season. I knew that from the get-go. I think that we saw growth. I think it was really, really tough. I mean, you look and Keita and Jay Sean are our two best defenders. The way we used those guys throughout the course of the year, and you take that off, or like you saw today, our rotations were farther. We couldn't keep the ball in front of us at the level we needed to. So it's hard to say, like, I don't think we finished the season the way that we wanted to in terms of having all our men ready to go. Injuries happen. I'm not making excuses, but it's hard for me to say, like, exactly how the season ended because we didn't finish it. We've always strived to play our best basketball, and you go down two veterans on I think we went from the fifth youngest to the youngest team in college basketball in a week span.
And one of those young players, Jaquan, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious he's one of those guys that can beat someone off the dribble and get to the cup. How important is his development for this program just moving forward with him staying?
Yeah, I think this, Jaquan is he's grown in a lot of areas. He really has. I've been very pleased with what he's done. The inconsistencies kind of gotten to me at times, but I think that he has shown that he has the potential to be a scorer, be a rebounder, be a high assist guy. And, the big thing with him is continuing to get his body in great shape. And he's got as much as from when he showed up here in June, how he's transformed his body, next year's got to be even more of a transformation.
That a couple of the players mentioned, not having the seniors. And that was one of the things, even, the first day you brought up how young this team was. Did you expect with having four seniors last year, having had older teams before, did you expect the challenges to be what they were without, that kind of leadership, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that we knew there was going to be a lot of just basic challenges that you deal with throughout the course of a season, and those are things that we felt going in. That there was going to be situations and times where it wasn't always going to be about basketball, just in terms of trying to work the mind and getting all 12 oars rolling in the right direction.
And I asked each of the players, so it's only fair to ask you, kind of, can you evaluate yourself? I know it just ended, but as a coach and looking at this year kind of quickly, what did you think of your coaching job this season? The players each kind of gave me a quick thing on how they thought they developed. So.
Yeah. I don't really ever evaluate myself. I think from the standpoint of we learned a lot about this basketball team. I think that it was. For the entire staff personally, this was a challenge because we had to learn a group of guys, and we had to learn a group of guys through different situations. I mean, I don't know if we've ever had to make the changes throughout the course in terms of what we were doing and trying to get a rhythm through practice, through film, through all those things. And you know, I think with that said, we weren't able to truly grasp, you know, exactly what it was that we could do well because of the inconsistency that we had throughout the course of the season. You get consistency, you're always a little bit of a better coach. There's no question about it.
Are you happy with the season, Tad?
Yeah, you know, I think so. I mean, I've never been satisfied. You know, playing for a national championship, winning a Big Ten conference tournament championship. There's always things that that you want to do better. There's always things that you know, as you look back, say, "Gosh, I wish we'd have done this" or whatever. But you know, from the standpoint of the growth that this team made, you know, I think it was something that we can build for. And I've always said this. I've coached this team with the future in mind. There's no question about that.
Yeah, Coach, it's probably time to exhale now, but what is your mindset for the future? Are you ready to give them hell next year and think all that hard work you put in this year will bear fruit next year?
It better, because there's been a lot of hard work put in this year from our staff. You know, and I say that from the standpoint of you know, there was, as we said, we learned a lot about these guys, just in terms of the ups and downs, and you know, you look at some of the strides guys made throughout the course of the season. You know, one of the biggest challenges is how do we get to that bar? How do we get to that level on a consistent basis? That's how you get really good. I mean, you know, you look back at 08, last time we were in the NIT. You know, the guys like John Diebler or Dave Leidy, just how much better they became coming out of this season. And hey, we had a lot of freshmen get thrust into you know, big-time situations and had to play for us. And you hope that experience is something that can catapult itself to a better basketball team.
Tad, it's been kind of talked around these last few days, but is it fair to say that work ethic and internal leadership from the players is one of the things that was lacking?
Yeah, you go into D'Angelo, you know, we called D'Angelo on that. He says, I have no idea what you were talking about. And he said it was definitely taken out of context and was very apologetic. As I said, I think this, what separates good players and great players is work ethic. And you know, we get, from this point on, we get 2 hours a week with them, you know, all the way through the summer. So the guys that want to be really, really good are going to come in and put the time in and commit themselves to it.
Can I just ask one last thing? You have the two guys signed coming in. Do you foresee a scenario where you add one more player because you got a spot open?
Yes, most definitely.
And you feel pretty good that something good's going to happen?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, thank you, guys.